Welcome to ParentGood. Tonight's presentation is Raising Confident and Resilient Children. My name is Beth Greenawalt. I've been a parent coach for nearly 10 years. My work focuses on creating relationships between parents and children that are based on personal values and raising children who feel seen, supported, and loved for who they uniquely are. I work with parents and primary caregivers, not children, because I believe that as you change the way you respond to your child's responses change. So if you're interested in speaking with me, you can sign up for a session through this ParentGood app. Now tonight, I'm going to speak for about 30 minutes, and then I'll answer your questions. Have a pen and paper handy, because throughout this presentation, I'm going to share some phrases that you can say to your child to support resilience. So let's get started by defining resilience. Resilience is the ability to manage your reactions to stress and to function well, even when things are difficult. Resilience is less about who you are and more about how you think. Children who are resilient know that they have trusted, loving role models, they have structure and rules at home, and they have the encouragement to make some of their own decisions. Children who are resilient believe that they are lovable, they are proud of themselves, and they are becoming autonomous and responsible. Children who are resilient trust their ability to communicate, problem solve, and manage their feelings and impulses. So tonight, I'm going to highlight 3 aspects of resilience. I'm going to talk about modeling resilience, encouraging a growth mindset, and strengthening your child's mastery. So let's start with modeling resilience. Now, you might be thinking that this presentation was supposed to be about how to help my child become resilient. And what does this actually have to do with me? Well, one of my favorite parenting quotes is by Robert Fulghum. And it says, "Don't worry that your children never listen to you. Worry that they are always watching you." So how do you model resilience in your house? How resilient are you? I'd like you to take a moment to reflect on these few questions. In times of stress, do I blame myself when things go wrong? Do I often blame someone else or the circumstances? Do I often feel as though stressful situations will be permanent and all-encompassing? Do you hear your own children expressing some of these thoughts? To promote our own resilience, we can challenge our initial responses to a situation and check to see if we're jumping to conclusions or making assumptions. We can ask ourselves the following questions. Who is actually responsible for this? How much responsibility is due to me? How much is due to others? Most stressors are not 100% the result of any one person's failings or actions. Is this stress going to last forever? Many stresses are temporary. Is this stress really going to affect everything in my life? What areas will not be affected? The effects of many daily adversities are limited to 1 or 2 areas of our lives. And it's easier to bounce back when we see that a situation only impacts part of our lives. So how do you model resilience and coping behaviors? 1, the first step is to talk out loud about our thoughts. We can model flexible thinking by talking out loud about our own struggles and encounters with daily stress. Here are a few examples. Right now, I feel frustrated because I can't get the lid off the jar. I'll try one more time, and then I'll ask for help. Whoops, I spilled the milk. Next time I'll move more slowly when I pour. I'll go get a sponge and wipe it up. Talking out loud helps children see that stressful situations don't have to last forever, that we're in control of how we respond, and it also demonstrates that these situations don't have to affect everything else. A second technique is to model calming and emotional regulation. You can model and talk about strategies that help you calm down, refocus your attention, and put things into perspective. For example, taking 3 deep breaths and counting out loud. I was feeling angry, so I took 3 deep breaths and I counted to 5. Oh, now I feel calmer, and that helps me talk more nicely to others. Changing the environment by turning off some lights or putting on some music. When I put on quiet music, it helps me feel calm inside. Or, let's turn off some lights. That will help us all calm down a bit. Another option is to choose a quiet activity. Everyone is pretty loud and jittery right now. Let's calm down in our quiet spot and read a story. Or moving your body can help reset and change your mood. I'm feeling frustrated, so I need to move my body. I'm going to turn on some fun music and dance. Finally, you can just wait and see what happens. I'm not going to worry about that right now. It might not even happen. And if it does, I'll deal with it then. When we are calm and relaxed, chances are better that our children will be calm and relaxed. In addition, maintaining a sense of calm helps us catch ourselves before we make statements that don't demonstrate a resilient response to a situation. The third way to model resilience is by reframing or realistic optimism. So realistic optimism is the ability to maintain a positive outlook without denying reality, actively appreciating the positive aspects of a situation without ignoring the negative ones. We can ask ourselves, what else can happen now? Or how else can I think about this? Here's an example. When a plan to take the children to the park for a picnic seemed threatened by an overnight rainfall and continuing gray skies, Martha considered the big picture. The children were really looking forward to the outing, and overcast skies and cooler temperatures could mean fewer children at the playground. The wet grass wouldn't be a problem if the kids wore their rain boots and coats. And if it started to rain, they could picnic under the benches. They could picnic on the benches under the shelter and finish their outing by going to the library. So Martha was able to view the situation with realistic optimism. She didn't deny the negative aspects of the weather, but she also found some positive features, maybe less heat, fewer crowds. She put a plan into place and believed that she could cope with whatever the weather might bring. Now, by talking about the plan with her children before the outing, Martha modeled how accurate and flexible thinking can help people look for the controllable aspects of a situation. And Martha could have involved her children in brainstorming ideas for how to update their plans to take into account the weather. Sometimes when your children are old enough, they can take part in these decisions. So resiliency research suggests that people who see mistakes as learning opportunities find it easier to take risks and try new things. We can help our children want to try new things by pointing out that no one is perfect, everyone makes mistakes. It's part of how we learn, even going as far as celebrating mistakes. You can also model making mistakes and fixing them. Here's another example. Remember when I forgot to read the story yesterday? Today, I'm going to read 2 stories. Remember when I dropped the bowl and it broke? Well, I bought some glue at the store, and so now I'm going to fix it. So let's recap how to model resilience. 1, talk out loud about our thoughts. 2, model calming and emotional regulation. And 3, reframe or use realistic optimism. Now, the second step towards raising confident and resilient kids is encouraging a growth mindset. Now, a growth mindset is based on the belief that your basic qualities are things that you can cultivate through your efforts. Although people differ in their talents, their aptitudes, their interests, and temperaments, everyone can grow and change through practice and experience. Here are some examples of a fixed mindset and a growth mindset. A fixed mindset says, I'm a failure. A growth mindset says, I failed. I'll try harder next time. Fixed mindset, why bother? It's not going to change anything. Growth mindset, growth and learning require effort. Fixed mindset, feeling threatened by the success of others, thinking that if you succeed, then I fail. Growth mindset is finding lessons and inspiration in others' success. A fixed mindset says, I must look smart in every situation, prove myself over and over again, and never fail. A growth mindset says, I stretch myself, I take risks, I learn from my mistakes. Bring on the challenge. Carol Dweck is the author of the book Mindset, and she defined the growth mindset. And she says that you don't get a growth mindset by proclamation. It's a journey. Now, we are all a mixture of fixed and growth mindsets. Let's face it, we all have times when we learn from our mistakes and we bounce forward after a setback. And we also have days when the smallest setbacks knock us over and we just want to give up. Interestingly, we actually need to think more about our fixed mindset in order to develop a more persistent growth mindset. As parents, you can work to recognize when your child is having a fixed mindset response and help them name how they feel. When they're calmer, you can explore strategies that they have tried, how effective they are, and what new strategies they could try. Remaining supportive and consistent over time is key. First, you empathize. Say something like, oh, it looks like you're feeling really frustrated. Would you like to take a break? Offer one of the techniques I mentioned earlier to calm down. Self-regulate with breathing, moving their body, or changing the environment. In a classroom that I was in, I noticed a poster that the teacher had written with phrases to reframe a child's fixed mindset to a growth mindset. Get ready to take some notes. These are great. So instead of your child thinking or saying, I'm not good at this, try thinking, what am I missing? Instead of, I give up. Try thinking, I will try some of the strategies I've learned. Instead of, this is too hard. Try thinking, this may take some real time and effort. Instead of, I can't make this any better. Try thinking, I can always improve, so I'll keep trying. Instead of, I just can't do math. Try thinking, I'm going to train my brain. Instead of, I made a mistake. Try thinking, mistakes help me learn. Instead of thinking, she's so smart, I'll never be that smart. Try thinking, I'm going to figure out how she does it so that I can try it. Instead of thinking, it's good enough. Try asking, is this really my best work? Finally, instead of thinking, well, plan A didn't work, try thinking, it's a good thing the alphabet has 25 more letters. Somebody wants the notes. I'm not sure how I can get the notes to you guys. The video itself will be up and you'll be able to watch it over. So I know that I'm speaking kind of fast to write all these down, but you could listen to it again. So another way to strengthen your child's growth mindset is to notice how you praise your child. There are two types of praise that I'm going to talk about: talent praise and effort praise. When you give your child feedback about how smart or talented they are, you send the message that your child has talent in some areas, but not others. When they struggle to learn something, they view this as not having a talent and never being good at it. Talent praise also makes your child want to demonstrate that talent by doing things that they can do well and avoiding difficult and challenging tasks. Talent praise sounds like, well done, you're really smart. Or, wow, you got an A. Or, you nailed it, you're a natural. I know we've heard ourselves say these things, and don't beat yourself up if you have. Let's just focus in the future on using effort praise a little more often. Effort praise is to praise the effort and the hard work that goes into learning and success. You might want to take some more notes here. Sorry, I'll go a little slower. Effort praise sounds like, well done. I noticed how much you practiced. What did you find that helped you do so well? Great. Wow. What was the most difficult part of this for you to learn? I never thought of it that way. You show amazing attention to detail. Even if you get frustrated, you always keep trying. Your hard work is really paying off. I love how clever you are with problem solving. I appreciate your patience. I love seeing your creativity. I'm curious how you thought of that. You must be so proud of yourself. I've noticed how hard you're working, and it's really impressive. I know you can do it. This is something you can handle. Research has also found that the way parents respond to failure and setback is one of the most important factors in how children develop a fixed mindset or a growth mindset response. Parents that downplay, oh, it's okay, you can't be good at everything, or overreact to a setback by saying, how did you make such a simple mistake? What were you thinking? Sends the message that our child doesn't have the natural ability to succeed. A better response for a parent is to focus on the learning and the growth that comes from a setback. Hey, I noticed you didn't do very well in the game today. What do you think you need to work on to get better? This sends the message that mistakes don't define ability and they're not permanent. Life is full of setbacks and challenges, and if we aren't making mistakes, we aren't learning or growing our brains. So are you a failure is debilitating parent or a failure is enhancing parent? Parents with a failure is debilitating view believe that failure inhibits learning and is a roadblock to the pathway to improved performance. They worry about their child's abilities and focus on the child's performance rather than their what they've learned from the failure. Research shows that parents with a failure is enhancing view Believe that struggles are a helpful experience and are vital for facilitating learning and growth. Mistakes are a part of life and need to be accepted calmly. Some questions to ask are, what did I learn from my mistakes today? How do I grow? What steps can I take to move forward? Now, I thought it would be interesting if we spoke for a few minutes about some different types of mistakes. The first is the aha moment mistake. This is a mistake that happens because you don't have knowledge. And after you make the mistake, you experience an aha moment of learning. Here are some examples. When we lack the content knowledge. So this is like your child is trying to pour milk into a plastic cup and doesn't realize how unstable the cup is, and the cup falls over and the milk spills everywhere. Or another example is making an incorrect assumption, like assuming that someone wants help, thinking that it's always welcome, and then finding out that that person did not want your help. Or another aha moment mistake is when we misremember something, like calling a friend for their birthday on the correct day, but the wrong month. So as parents, we can help our child learn from aha moment mistakes by asking, what was unexpected? Why did that result happen? What went well? What didn't? Is there anything you could try differently next time? This sounds like, oh, the milk spilled. Oh, that was surprising, wasn't it? What happened? The cup tipped over. Why did that happen? Yesterday, you poured your milk into the blue glass and didn't spill a drop. What was different today? A second type of mistake is the sloppy mistake. And sloppy mistakes happen when we do something we already know how to do, but we do it incorrectly because we lose concentration. We all make sloppy mistakes because we're human. And sloppy mistakes can be turned into aha moments if we take a minute to think about why we're making the mistake. Maybe we're not focused at the task at hand, or we're too tired, or something distracted us. And then we can gain ahas on how to improve by thinking or realizing that maybe we're better at certain tasks after a good night's sleep. Or if we silence our gadgets or close the door, we can focus better. There'll be fewer distractions. The third type of mistake is a stretch mistake. And this happens when we're working to expand our current abilities. Children are constantly making stretch mistakes because they're often trying to do something that is just beyond what they can do without help. So they're bound to make errors. Stretch mistakes are really positive. If we never make a stretch mistake, it would mean that we've never really challenged ourselves to learn something new or try a new skill. Sometimes when we're stuck making and repeating the same stretch mistakes, the issue might be that we're mindlessly going through the motions rather than truly focusing on improving our abilities. Other times, the root cause might be that our approach to learning is ineffective and we need a different strategy to try this new skill. Or it might be that what we're learning is too far beyond what we already know, and we're not ready to master that level of challenge yet. But if we feel stuck, one thing we can do is adjust the task, decreasing the level of challenge, but keeping it still a little beyond what we already know. This is scaffolding. And scaffolding is a way that we can help our child move into a learning zone that's slightly beyond what they can already do without help. So here's an example of scaffolding. Your three-year-old is trying to put on shoes with laces. Now, he can easily put on his sandals that have Velcro straps, but his new sneakers with laces are a challenge. And after several unsuccessful attempts to put his foot into the opening that is too small, he flings his sneaker across the room in frustration. You can step in and say, wow, you look really frustrated because I noticed you threw your shoe across the room. Now, shoes are not for throwing. It looks like the opening is too small for your foot. How could we make it bigger? Now, you could wait for your child to respond. And if he comes up with an idea, try that. Or you can offer an idea with the words like, some people find it's helpful to loosen the laces like this to make the opening bigger. See? Do you want to try putting your foot in now? So we want to make stretch mistakes. When we make stretch mistakes, we want to reflect, identify what we can learn, and then adjust our approach until we master the new level of ability. When your child is experiencing a stretch mistake, you will probably hear, I can't. This is the place to incorporate the power of yet. Yet is a small word with a really big impact. When you hear the word can't, all you need to do is add the word yet onto the end of the statement and you're there. I can't ride a bike yet. I can't bake a cake yet. I can't tap dance yet. Now, on Sesame Street, Janelle Monáe sings a song about the power of yet. It is so great, upbeat, fun. I really recommend you add it to your kids' playlists. Now, here are some responses that you can also give to the inevitable, I can't. You can say, it's hard, isn't it? Good thing you're a kid who can do hard things. Or, do you want to keep trying or ask for help? Or, I see you're getting frustrated. Let's take a break and come back to this later. Research shows that parents have a big influence on their children's mindset. Most of the things we do and say as parents send either a fixed or a growth mindset message to our children. By adding these simple practices to your parenting, you'll help your children develop a stronger growth mindset over time. So to review, to encourage a growth mindset, you want to empathize with how your child is feeling, praise effort instead of talent, adopt a failure is enhancing attitude, learn from mistakes, the aha moment mistakes, the sloppy mistakes, and the stretch mistakes, and incorporate the power of yet. So the third step to raising confident and resilient kids is to strengthen your child's mastery. In order for your child to know how to solve problems, you have to let them have problems. In order for your child to know how to deal with mistakes, you have to let them make mistakes. In order for your child to know how to handle disappointment, you have to let them be disappointed. Handling little problems when young is like an immunization to handling big problems in the future. So mastery involves what a child does to control outcomes. It describes a person who loves to explore, learn, grow, apply herself, practice something, and take joy in the creative process, whether or not she succeeds or fails. True mastery is experienced when there is a direct relationship between the child's action and the outcome. For example, an infant causes a rattle to make a sound when he shakes it. So how can you promote mastery? Offering children choices that allow them to influence decisions that affect them. For example, it's cold outside. Do you want to wear your hat or pull up your hood? After lunch, we'll have some outside time. Do you want to ride your bike or play on the swings? It's quiet time now. Do you want to lie in your bed and read a book or listen to quiet music. Offering choice helps children feel that they have some control over what they do. A second step towards mastery is scaffolding. Like I mentioned in the previous example, providing children with opportunities that challenge them, but are within their ability. For example, your child can put on shoes, but needs to learn how to put on snow boots. One way to scaffold is to say something like, you might want to try loosening the laces on the boots first. Or some people like to sit on the floor when they put on their boots. The third is we can remind our children of what they have already accomplished so that they see that they are indeed growing and learning every day. The statement, I'll never be able to ... can be challenged by reminding the child of past achievements. You seem frustrated right now. Remember you thought you would never be able to put your jacket on without my help? Now you can do that all by yourself. Or, when you were a baby, you couldn't even walk. And look at you now, you run so fast. Or, you remembered to ride your bike in the right direction on the bike path so that you don't bump into people. You're really thinking about biking safety. Another aspect of mastery is to create a no-blame household. Sort of goes without much explanation. You stop fighting the situation, you accept responsibility, and you find a solution. So, to recap, to promote mastery, we offer choice, we scaffold learning, we remind our child of previous accomplishments, and we create a no-blame household. I know that was a lot of information, and now I'd like to invite you to ask me some questions. You can write your questions in the chat, or you can unmute and ask me. Somebody asked, can I live with her? Oh, it's much easier for me to talk about it than to do it in real life, right? But I'm here to talk with you about it and coach you along the way if you want to have somebody in your corner that you can, connect with on a regular basis. That's what I do. The more you try these things, the more natural they'll come, and the easier it will be. You won't have to think about them so much. I know we had a note here that somebody's getting really frustrated with their little ones. And the first thing you do when you're getting very frustrated is learn and figure out what are the things that calm you down in the moment. And how do you do those? What do you do? Does it help for you to take 5 deep breaths and maybe turn on some quiet music? Does it help for you to just sit quietly for a minute, depending on how old your children are? Do you leave the room and give yourself 5 minutes? Modeling how you handle frustration teaches your own children how to handle frustration. Okay? So taking deep breaths, giving your children hugs, and talk about it. Say, oh, I'm feeling really frustrated right now because I've been asking to get some help picking up the Legos and nobody's listening to me. There's no listening ears going on in my house. I'm really frustrated. I'm going to take some deep breaths so that I can calm myself down. You show them by your own behavior what it looks like to handle an emotion and move through it. Okay? And then your children will learn to do it for themselves. Everybody has different challenges to learning things. Some children have a harder time focusing for a long time or focusing on one thing at a time. And so helping them learn skills for how they can manage the work that they need to do. Maybe it's learning how long of a time they can focus on one task. setting a timer, giving them a break, and moving, to another task. It's learning yourself. We want to, again, figure out who we are so that we can be our best self. And having, there are a lot of people that aren't able to focus for a really long time on one thing, but it makes them incredibly creative. And there's a lot of there are a lot of strengths there. So it's helping your child find the ways that he or she can focus best and making that part of their regular routine. Modeling behavior for parents is now even more stressed. I hope not. You just want to be naturally who you are. I'm not really here to talk about eating issues. If you'd like to talk a little bit more about that, we can schedule a full session. That's really not the focus of this conversation today. There are other professionals too on the ParentGood app who focus on nutrition and eating also. Any other comments or questions about resilience and helping your child become more resilient? I think I saw a question a moment ago about, does this work with teenagers? This works with anybody. So it works with us. I didn't learn most of this information until 10 or 15 years ago. So we can all learn to have more of a growth mindset and learn from our mistakes and become more resilient in all aspects of our lives. There's a question about discipline. Again, discipline is something I speak to a lot of parents about, and so I'm happy to talk about discipline with you one-on-one, because that's not the focus on this. The same with toddler tantrums. I actually speak with more parents of children between the ages of 2 and 5, probably than anything else. Sibling rivalry. Yeah, there's all sorts of things that we can talk about on one-on-one sessions. If there are any more questions about raising confident and resilient kids, how can I tie resilience into accountability for behavior? So when I'm talking about accountability for behavior, I always invite parents to get your child to make a reparation for the behavior. So if their behavior impacted someone else, if it caused something to break, if it affected someone, ask your child what they can do to repair the result of their behavior. Okay? It's really important that children are involved in taking ownership of what the impact of their behavior was. Does that answer your question a little bit? It helps a lot when I have a lot more information around the actual behavior when I hear a story about what's happening in your world. But generally, making reparation is really important. How do we teach them to be confident and resilient when someone in school is mean to them, or what should we say? So confidence and resilience comes from within, right? When you praise effort, when you use that, and what we want to do is make sure that our child's inner voice feels and is positive and affirming. Help them try to maybe be a little empathetic even towards that person. I know that my daughter, when she was in elementary school, had a challenging classmate. And we would not minimize what was happening with that child or what that child said. And I would absolutely empathize with my daughter. and I would help her see where her strengths were. But I would also help her try to brainstorm why we thought that child needed to say that really mean thing. And it helps just connect with the humanness of everyone, and makes it less about your child and more about the other child who's having a challenge. We really always want to be empathetic. We want to hear what our children are feeling and validate what they're feeling, but also then give them some skills to manage the situation. You can play pretend, you can role play, maybe giving your child a way to respond if it's something that happens, giving your child tools for who to go to, what to say, who to ask for help, helping them have some options in this situation so that they can feel like they have a little control over what's happening to them. You can schedule a session with me, somebody asked, by going through the app. Okay. Last question. How can I make sure my child gets enough attention? I feel upset. He makes me feel like I don't give him. He's the oldest. Whenever we have more than one child, even if we only have one child, I find that one of the best things you can do is create some one-on-one time, special time with each child. And that doesn't have to be a 3-hour window. It can be 15 minutes of time that's consistent and he knows what to expect. Maybe you can just take one child and go on an errand. You look forward to it. You tell him you're looking forward to it. You say, I can't wait till we have our special time and it's just going to be the two of us together. Maybe it's a time that you are just with that one child anyway. You're taking them in the car to an activity and it's your special time, and you name it, you look forward to it, you talk about things that you're going to do together. Ideally, you have this time regularly with every child, and that the child has a little bit of ability to choose what happens during special time so that you both are engaged in that process. Okay, we have a few more minutes if anybody has any more questions. So if I didn't answer your question, or if you'd like to discuss some of your parenting challenges with me, like I've said several times, you can schedule a session through the app. But before I end this presentation, I want to recap how to raise confident and resilient kids, okay? So first, we model resilience by talking out loud about our thoughts, modeling our own calming and emotional regulation, and reframing or looking at scenarios with realistic optimism. Second is we encourage a growth mindset. We empathize with our child, how they're feeling. We praise effort instead of talent. We adopt a failure is enhancing mindset at your house. We learn from our mistakes, whether they're aha moment mistakes, sloppy mistakes, or stretch mistakes. And you incorporate the power of yet. Finally, the third is promote mastery in your child by offering choice, scaffolding learning, reminding your child of previous accomplishments, and creating a no-blame household. Now, I realize that I shared a lot of information tonight, and I encourage you to choose one or two ideas that resonated with you and try to incorporate those, okay? Once you feel like you've mastered those ideas, listen to this presentation again and choose a couple more. Now, in our journey to become the best parents we can be, it's easy to beat ourselves up for parenting mistakes that we've made in the past. If you find yourself doing this, I hope this quote from Maya Angelou resonates with you like it does with me. I did then what I knew how to do. Now I know better, so I do better. Thanks for listening. Good night.